Shoot.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Jack Ames from Defend Life. This is the third talk in our four-talk series of lectures by Bud MacFarlane, Sr. Now, the reason I say senior is because there is a Bud MacFarlane, Jr., who's almost as well known as his illustrious father. Can you turn that off, Kevin? Thank you.
That's Bud calling. He always calls when you give him a nice compliment.
Oh, yeah, it's fun.
Anyway, our speaker, who you'll hear in just a few minutes, thank you, has a remarkable background, and you're about to hear a wonderful talk about Humanae Vitae, which was proclaimed how many years ago?
68,
50
years ago.
50.
Must have been a math major.
Not even close.
And
Well, he doesn't have
Humanae Vitae-
Alzheimer's.
Yeah, Humanae Vitae, even though it was a great prophetic document, has been virtually ignored by our culture, and that's one of the reasons the church is in the mess and the crisis that it's in, because it was ignored. And that's what our speaker will be speaking about. Bud is also one of the leading authorities in America, in the world, on Marian Apparitions. He's the grandfather of 42. Now, to be a grandfather, you first have to be what?
Father.
A father, right.
Married.
Well, you have to be married, but in this case, he was very married.
I didn't have any sex change. My wife had all the kids.
He has a wonderful wife, Patricia, who, even before he knew her name, he knew how beautiful a young lady she was. And just in his mind, he knew that was the girl that God had picked for him. So on the third date, believe it or not, he proposes. It's a great story. He's a great storyteller. And you're about to hear some of those great stories. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Bud MacFarlane, Sr.
Thank you. By the way, we get a chance later, a smaller crowd, I'll show you some of the pictures. With the babies and the first babies. Now it's Christmas.
Oh,
25th grandchild. They all got a story there. There you go. Put them over here. Okay. I was very blessed because how I met my wife and she met me is totally through things that happened that we weren't exactly happy about at the time. I was in the Marine Corps during the Korean War, the early 1950s. I came home. I went in right after high school when I was 18, 1951. And then I went to Seton Hall University. And I was going there full time in my sophomore year. And my wife, you save your seats, they're right over here. And my wife was going to Pratt University to be an artist. She's the one who did this painting for me over here. For my first presentation that I was ever asked to make by accident about Marian Apparitions, teachings of the church, the faith. This is St. John Bosco's vision of 1862, which I'll explain briefly in a minute. She did that for me back in the mid-'80s when somebody asked me to give a talk at a night's Columbus function, and there was a magazine cover with that picture on it. I said, there's something about the visions son John Bosco had. Give me a little drawing of that. I thought I meant a little thing. She did the big poster. And I was driving home one night, and unfortunately, I don't know whose fault it was, but a traffic light. I was going one way, somebody was coming the other way, the light was changing. They hit me broadside, knocked me into a concrete building on the corner. I got severe injuries, head, neck, back. Got the last rites at the site by they called the priest. And how bad I was bleeding with the head injuries. And so my car was totaled. So I had to go to work, get some money. I went to work at the Prudential Insurance Company in Newark, and my wife's father had a heart attack, and she was at Pratt Institute in the second half of her sophomore year. And so she had to come home. So she went to work at the Prudential. So I don't know how many months into starting work there, I was with a friend of mine who also came with me. I got him to come, and I saw her, and I said to him, "You see that girl over there?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, that's the girl I'm going to marry." He said, "What's her name?" I said, "I don't know." I arranged to be on a bowling banquet alley with her a couple months later, and it was, you know, everybody from our department at the Prudential went to this bowling alley and was bowling and playing fun. I ended up offering, and she accepted to drive her and 3 of her girlfriends home. Plenty of seats. And she said okay, and I dropped them all off first. It took about 2 hours. Jersey City, go over here and down south. And I asked her on a date. She said sure. So next Friday we went out and we had a nice time. I asked her on a date again, and next Friday we went out and asked her on another date. And the third date, I proposed. She said yes. I mean, it was meant to be. I was at the time 24. Actually, 23, almost 24, and she was 20, maybe 21. And so I said to her, "How many children would you like to have?" She said, 10. All right, look, whatever's good for you is good for me. I did my best. We had 12. 9 daughters, 3 sons. One of my sons, Jude, went to heaven, but 11 the rest are here, and all kinds of spouses and grandchildren, and busy schedule. And I buy all my cars at the dollar store, 2 for $1, so it's not that bad. But 9 months from the wedding day was the first sign. Her name was Rosemary. She was born, number 1. 3 daughters within 25 months, born together within 25 months. Irish twins, the second set. Then I don't know what happened. It took like 15 months to have a son, Bud Jr. And then 8 children in 9 years, 11 children, 12 children total in 16 years, counting Jude. And we were really blessed. 12 children in 15 years, counting Jude. And we had no money. We lived in apartments, and then moved to another apartment, and then finally bought a home with $1,000 down, and then 4 years later sold out because we already had 6 kids or 7, and we needed a bigger house. I met a nice, beautiful, a Catholic real estate agent woman, about 25 years older than us, and we told her what we needed. She says, "This guy's got this house for sale. You've got to come and look at it. He's going to sell it. He tried before. He changed his mind. Let me see if he's still interested." So she goes and she rings the doorbell. She said, "Yeah, bring him in." A mansion. 7 bedrooms. 4.5 baths. Stucco. Red tile roof. 2 chimneys. 3 fireplaces. Unbelievable sun deck. Sunroom. Huge living rooms, dining rooms, kitchen, spectacular. Full basement. 3 floors. Landings on each floor had room for bookcases and desks and things. But ridiculous price, $33,500. My mortgage went from $169 a month with taxes to $219. The Lord always supplies. You don't have to worry about anything. Seek first my kingship, my way of holiness. You don't have to worry about money. Everything took place, and I could tell you the whole stories of all the children throughout their lives and going to college, and how do we handle that. One time with 5 kids in college one time, and I was in a company where I worked. I was selling plastic packaging. I had to buy a Venus razor or a Gillette blazer and all plastic package. You can't get it open. Blame me. I helped design that, but I was in the sales and marketing end of it. But my son Bo was at Notre Dame, and he graduated in 84. In 85, I was helping him get interviews in the plastics industry. Not competing with my company, but in plastics. The word got out to my company that Bud MacFarlane was looking for a job. They called me in, they told me what a great job I was doing, great, I'm so happy to have you here, and I hope you're satisfied. I said, "Oh yeah, I love it here." Give me a 25% pay increase. I never told them. It wasn't me. It's not mortal.
You fuck.
They thought you were your son.
I know.
Exactly.
Yeah. Thank you, Lord. So I could just go story after story. It always kind of just when we needed something, something happened. And we live in a phenomenal Catholic heaven neighborhood where there was all these older houses built. My house was built in 1910. They were all houses with a minimum of 6 bedrooms. And everyone was Catholics with no money, with a lot of kids. It was like Catholic heaven. Unbelievable. Halloween costs a lot of money. All those houses, all that candy coming to you and everything, you know. So I could go through story after story of how we always had just what we needed, and it never seemed to cost anyone. And successful in business and work and everything. I ended up being going from salesman to sales manager to general manager to CEO of a little plastics company privately owned up in Orangeburg, New York, where I worked for the last 32 years till I retired at age 70. So the Lord always supplies whatever you need, so you don't have to worry when it comes to family or anything else. He's going to take care of everything, right? You don't have to worry about it. We never worry about it. Faith, a major part of it was faith. We could talk about miracle after miracle of things that happened. I especially a story I like to tell is about one of our daughters had mental problems. She was paranoid schizophrenic, age 29. Totally insane. It's incurable. My wife and I, after she was diagnosed, we made a 9-day Eucharistic novena together. Where for 9 days we went to the Holy Sacrifice of the Mass together at one of the churches where we lived in Catholic heaven, Essex County, New Jersey. 36 Catholic churches within 15 minutes of the house.
Wow.
Masses all day long, right? So 9 days we went together. On the 9th day, she was completely healed. Totally healed. She's in California. She has her own television show. She got married at age 30. 2 beautiful children. Both just graduated from college. And so you never give up on any situation. Pray, trust. And it always works out for the best. Right? Regardless how long it takes or how it happens. Right? And so the same story about children and births. And our daughter Catherine, number 12. Daughter, Catherine the last, we call her. She lives in San Diego. She just had her 7th baby at age 43. She teaches naprotechnology. You ever heard of that? Natural procreative technology. It's the Pope Paul VI Institute. It was created by Dr. Thomas Hilgers of Pope Paul VI Institute, Omaha, Nebraska. It's female fertility, the ultimate science of female fertility. Not just for spacing children, but for people having trouble conceiving. 80% effective in curing that. In fact, I mentioned before in one of our other presentations, we went out there for a christening once for one of the grandchildren, and I saw this couple there with a young boy, about 6, 7 years old. I said, "Who's that?" He said, "Oh, that's Rick and Karen Green." He told me the story. She was expecting Jack, her 3rd child. She was 7 months pregnant, and they came to her because she taught naprotechnology in the San Diego diocese, all right? Not as a way of living, just with a group of doctors, as an apostolate. And they begged her, the woman, Karen was 45, and the husband, Rick, was 51. They tried everything, spent a fortune, couldn't get pregnant. She agreed to take them as a client. A year later, they asked her to be the godmother. 46, 52, first child. All natural. Natural procreative technology. The ultimate science, which should be promoted in every single parish in the United States. And not just Catholic parishes. It's phenomenal. You don't even want to know the statistics on IVF, in vitro fertilization. And for how many babies born and how much frustration and how many years it takes. They had tried all that. How many babies are killed by that process? You know, if there's 4 million born, there's probably 25 million that have been killed by that process. Then we hear about the unexplainable, the discussable. Abortifacient contraceptives. Now you don't hear that first word. Hormonal contraceptives, the birth control pill, Eprovivarium, the unit device, they're all abortifacients. All right, abortifacients. Today in the United States, there will be 4,000 babies murdered by a medical doctor with a mother's permission through surgical abortion. 4,000 babies. Today in the United States, there will be 20 to 35,000 minimum babies killed by an abortifacient hormonal contraceptive, the birth control pill, and they don't even know it because they're not told, they don't understand. That's stage one. Stage two is not what man will ever or what woman would use or ever allow his wife to put a birth control pill or any hormonal system of contraception in their body if they knew the medical disaster it is for women. Dr. Angela Frenchie, who's a friend of mine in New Jersey, formed the Breast Cancer Prevention Institute. She has documents on all of these subjects and shows all of the medical damage that a hormonal contraceptive, the birth control pill in the list, do to a woman's physically. Physically. We don't hear about it. Why? Because the medical doctors will go out of business. They'll go out of business. I was on a plane flying to Denver, I don't know, 20 years ago, sitting next to a woman, and we kept chatting. Only long story short, she was so sad because her 18-year-old daughter just died of a stroke. I said, wow, that's young. How'd that happen? Well, they put her on the birth control pill for her complexion. She died of a stroke. When I first started, I'll tell you a quick story about that in a second, but a friend of mine who's involved with breastfeeding, teaches that in hospital systems and that, she showed me the physician's desk reference. It's about that big, thick book that has every prescription and every kind of thing, you would do it for, what you don't, and what the problems are. Birth control pill is right in there. It's an abortifacient. The babies can die. The endometrium is made so that it will expel it in many cases because it becomes so thin so that the newly conceived baby can't implant in the mother's womb. You don't hear about it. It's nothing new. I have a book over here somewhere by Dr. Bo Kuhar of the Pharmacists for Life. He formed that organization. It's here someplace. And I'm looking at all the statistics of how many babies are killed each year by all these different systems, you know. And I look at the back of the book. It was printed in 1994. It's nothing new. Everybody knows about it in those industries and fields. They do nothing about it. And it's all scientific. It's not somebody's opinion. We don't hear about it. So, we must educate in a sensitive way, because this is a very sensitive subject. How many of our family members, how many of our friends and neighbors were involved in using this and never knew about it? They never knew about it. They never knew that this is what happened, because we were advised in the confessional as I was. Well, you have so many children, and your wife is, all that stress and everything, so you can do this to space your children and use birth control. Right? I'm sure whoever told me that didn't know about it either. Okay, because I'm talking back a long time ago, back in the early 70s. Children, that little prayer card over there, and I have it here. Children are a gift from God. We all know that. Extraordinary gift. It's my favorite bookmark. I always have them in my pocket wherever I go. Go to the supermarket, go to church, wherever it is. Like this, I couldn't believe it Mass this morning at the church around. The number of homeschooling mothers with all their kids at Mass. And when we first went into the church at 10 to 9, there was nobody there. There was a huge crowd by the time the Mass started. And all these young families. They're a gift from God. Right? What an extraordinary gift. The foundation for a happy, holy family and marriage is the sacramental life. It's not just praying the family rosary, which is very important. I always have my rosary with me. It's medication. It's not just this. Let's see if I have one with me. Oh, yeah, I got it here. Oh, Pharmacist for Life. This is from Pharmacist for Life. 3 times to 4 times a day cures everything. You know what's on here? My mom, she was the president of the Rosary Society in our parish when we were growing up. And 33 years later, after they gave her this sterling silver rosary, she gave it to me. And so I attached it to my regular rosary. So I can always, I call my mother Our Lady of the Rosary. Everywhere we went, when I pick her up in later years when she wasn't driving, and we'd start every car ride wherever we were going. And our family as well, with the rosary. Right? Now, the ultimate reality on earth, in the history of the world, ultimate reality to this day, nothing comes a close second, is what? Yes. Jesus in the Eucharist. St. John Bosco, 1862, he had a famous vision of our times right now, right? Of the church being attacked with the Pope in the front by all of its enemies, with the cardinals behind them. It looked like the ship was going to sink. All of a sudden, at the last minute, when it looked like it was over, the Pope gets wounded, falls, and rises. And then these pillars come out of the ocean. And anchors come down from the ship and attach to the pillars. Auxilium Christianorum, help of Christians. The Blessed Mother, holding a rosary. Bigger and more prominent. Salus Credentium, salvation of the believers. The Eucharistic Jesus. Right? And these were the twin pillars that took this ship through all the enemies and destroyed them right into shore, and everybody was saved. 1862 vision of now. Right? Of now. I have St. Faustina's diary over here that Jesus dictated to her 1933 to 1938, her last year. All right? Every word in here was dictated to Sister Faustina while she was in front of Jesus in the tabernacle or the monstrance. All right? Every word. Outside of the Holy Scripture, I don't have any book that's even a close second. It's all here. It's all about now as well. This is the age of divine mercy. Ultimate age of divine mercy. If you recall, who was the first saint of the new millennium? St. Faustina. And a couple from our parish, where I live in New Jersey, one family who knew nothing about medicine or anything, was instrumental in getting the second, from Baltimore, Father Pytel, the second miracle approved in 1 year of research. Got all the facts together, gave it to the top cardio expert in the whole world as he was going onto the plane to go to Rome in December of 1999. It was approved, and St. Faustina became the first saint of the new millennium because of the activities of one family in one parish who had nothing to do with any of this in their life before. So we never know what God is going to call us to do. We never know. Right? And what a wonderful family, too. We knew them very well. By the way, encyclicals. That's the Latin word for do not read under the pain of mortal sin. Oh, no. I'm sorry. Veritatis Splendor. That's the twin pillars. Splendor of the truth. Isn't it interesting that the Pope in the vision gets wounded and falls is who? John Paul II. Wounded and falls. On what day did he get shot? May 13th. Right? He goes back a year later and puts the bullet that he was wounded with in the crown of the Our Lady of Fatima statue. Right? A special pilgrimage he made there. Right? Well, before he died, the Pope of his vision, he did the last two pillars. He wrote the encyclical on the Rosary, and the Holy Year of the Rosary, 2002, 2003, and the Holy Year of the Eucharist when he died on Divine Mercy Sunday, 2004, 2005. Ecclesia de Eucharistia. We are the Church of the Eucharist. Our faith in the Eucharist. We hear, well, did you go to church? Yes, I went to church. Did you go to Holy Sacrifice of the Mass? Oh yeah, I went to church. Did you go to communion? Yes, I did. Did you receive the body and blood, soul, and divinity of Jesus Christ, the Son of God? Yeah, that you played. Yes, you're right, I did. Do you know how many people in the United States are able to, because this is the greatest country in the history of the world for the Catholic Church, are able to go every single day and participate in the miracle of the Holy Sacrifice of the Mass, the continuation of the Last Supper and the Passion and Death of Jesus, and then receive his actual physical body, blood, soul, and divinity in the United States? 250,000 to 500,000 every day in the United States. We have more priests. We have about 40,000 priests. We have more priests than the 3 largest Catholic countries in the world. We have more priests in Brazil. We have more priests in the Philippines, Mexico. Combined. They're the 3 largest Catholic. We have more priests than have combined. The Mass, what did Padre Pio say? The sun never sets on the holy sacrifice of the Mass. All right? Every single minute in the world, this miracle is happening where the priest, the alter Christus of Jesus, can call upon the Holy Spirit to come during the consecration and change ordinary bread and wine into the body and blood of Jesus. Not symbolically, actually, truly. I have book after book after book. Eucharistic miracles of the world. I have like 6 different versions from 6 different authors. I was asked to write an article for a national magazine for the Year of the Eucharist back in 2003, 2004, 2005, I know. Our Eucharistic Jesus, the ultimate reality and the cure for the world's spiritual blindness. Teresa Numi, you ever heard of Teresa Numi? Mystic. Back in 1926, she had a vision from Teresa of Lisieux. All right? And Teresa of Lisieux told her, Jesus wants you to live solely on the Eucharist, to emphasize the reality of his real presence in the Eucharist. For the next 36 years until she left, she lived solely on the Eucharist, nothing else, all verified and confirmed by medical authorities. Right? Our Eucharistic Jesus. I could name other mystics, Bertha Petit, what's her name? I'll think of it in a minute. And Alexandrina da Costa in Portugal for 15 years, last 15 years. Live solely on the Eucharist. An ongoing miracle to emphasize to us what a gift, what a powerful gift, what a supernatural gift that we have available thanks to all of our beloved priests in the United States so much, so often. I went to a retreat called Cursillo. Anybody ever heard of that? Mm-hmm. I went to that in 1980. A neighbor recruited me, and when I went, changed my life. I was always practicing the faith, fortunately. And I went to Mass on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday on the retreat. And then Lent was starting. It was Ash Wednesday, the following Wednesday. I said, I think I'd like this year to try to get to Mass every day for Lent. First time ever it happened. I was able to, business like wife, flying all over the country and different things. I always found ways to be able to find a holy sacrifice of the Mass that was not a conflict with my business responsibilities. 1980. So wouldn't it be wonderful to be able to do this? All right? There's so many mystics that lived on it. I'm not a mystic. So many ordinary men who lived on it. And their lives are written in biographies who lived on the Eucharist. Not solely, but the holy sacrifice of the Mass and the graces from the Mass that nothing else compares to, the holy sacrifice of the Mass and receiving Jesus. Right? Ever since 1980, 38 years. My wife and I, during this, we went to the pastor, and he made us Eucharistic ministers for each other. So that when one of us was in a hospital or whatever reason couldn't be at the Mass, the other one would be at the Mass, get the Eucharist in the pyx, and bring it to the spouse. Many stories relative to that. Right? Eucharistic miracles. We just had one in Poland. I was reading a magazine on the night before I came down here. It just happened, being verified now. They could go on and on and on, how many Eucharistic miracles. And there's one every day. I told you the story before about our daughter, and I could go on and on. The best place, in my opinion, to implore God's mercy and healing is at the moment we receive him, or when he's in the monstrance. I've got some pictures along. I think I brought them along. I hope. Yeah. Come on, Aunt. Let's go. In Lent, 3.5 years ago, I live on an island after I retired. Well, South Jersey, Long Beach Island, they call it. And I've had a house down there. Well, I bought with no money down with an apartment on the second floor in the 1960s that was paid off in like 15 years. It never cost a penny. The rents paid everything. And then I had used that money when I sold it to build another house. My wife's brother bought 7 acres and gave us all the land for nothing. But anyhow, I looked out the window and I saw the sunrise. I said, oh, look at that, sun's rising. Let me take a picture of it. I ran downstairs, got the camera. I took a picture. It was a miraculous picture. I've never been able to duplicate it. When it was developed, the golden sun turned into a Eucharistic host. And the golden sun then formed around the host a golden monstrance with the base coming across the ocean water. There it is. I brought one for everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right? Put them over there on the chair. Just stick one on the chair. Right? Now, I've never been able to duplicate it. Ever. It's kind of an emphasis. But if you get a chance, you're going to talk to somebody somewhere, you always talk about the Eucharist, but start emphasizing this ongoing ultimate reality of all realities. Right? And we're so blessed. America's, there's no comparison to this country. We are so gifted with priests and parishes and monasteries. I could go on and on with the list of the availability. And thank goodness, in my later years of my business life, on the internet, they have masstimes.org.
Right.
You can find the Mass everywhere, every city in the United States, country, township, anything. Tells you the Mass, where it is, the address, the phone number, and the times of the Masses. So there's no Mass confusion. You know where you can go. Right? I only found out from my wife Pat, like St. Patricia, after we were married quite a few years. We were talking about something, and she said, well, I used to walk to St. Sacred Heart in Bloomfield. And she lived in Bloomfield, but on the far end, on my way to high school every day. But I went a half hour early, I went to Mass. She went to Mass every day in high school. I never even suspected that. But she had this great gift. That's why when I first saw her, I thought it was an angel. I saw an angel. I mean, she was that just automatically beautiful, holy, unbelievable person. Irresistible. Right? What a gift that was. Oh, by the way, pray for our grandson Xavier. It's our son Bud, the author. It's his third son. He's in the seminary in his third year in Cleveland, in that diocese as well. Right? Again, we could talk over and over and over. The greatest way for America, for the family, as the foundation of the church and the future of society, is through prayer, the rosary. Anything you ask of me, Rosie, we got the 15 promises here from Blessed Alan in 1452. Every one is spectacular. 12 promises of the Sacred Heart. Take advantage of all these gifts that we have. as often as possible within our state in life. And ask the Holy Spirit to guide you in what's the best way for you. Get yourself, by the confession is another major one. Jesus told St. Faustina that the tabernacle is the throne of my divine mercy, but the confessional is the tribunal of my mercy. I am there with the priest waiting for you. What a gift we have. We have a little Nursery Shrine of St. Gerard, the patron saint and mothers. They have confessions every day down in York. Unbelievable. 7 masses every day at this church. 7 masses. Right. I said, Catholic Heaven, Essex County where I live, go to any church you want, any time, plus your own parish. Masses, noontime, early morning. The earliest we could find was 6:30, but in the morning. But they had them at night too, as late as 7 o'clock. And adoration chapels. So blessed. So blessed. The last church we were at here today had their 24-hour perpetual adoration. Our parish where I live right now down on Long Beach Island, the parish is off the island. They have perpetual adoration too. So that's a blessing with a combination lock. How many times we've gone there when there's been a situation that needed extraordinary prayer. My wife getting in the car at 3 in the morning, we go and be with Jesus one-on-one in the monstrance, praying for his love and mercy. I wanted to mention something that I did after my last presentation, because I forgot to mention it. The internet. It's such a gift in many ways. I have an archive of how many articles, how many different things that refer to our faith and all the essentials of the faith. And in one of them relative to the Eucharist is the Father John Hardin. Everybody ever heard of Father John Hardin?
Yes.
He died in 2000, I think. He's founded the Real Presence Education and Adoration Association. And his archives I have in my computer. I always say I can press one button and I can send you 1,200 of his articles listing all the different subjects they're under and how you go right to them and get the one you want by name. And 3,000 of his audios and videos on our faith. And he was a holy genius regarding this. So I have my cards here. Anybody wants it? Look at my cards, email there. Must have put them out, I don't know where they are. Anyhow, and send me an email and I can send you Father Hardin's archives. All right? Or you could Google them on your own, Father John Hardin, and you can get them. We have books and pamphlets, and we have a document over there called To the Mother of All Mothers. On Mother's Day in 2011, I was inspired to write an article about my wife, because I was a businessman. I was a CEO. I was, at this time, giving talks, maybe 25 or 30 a year all over the United States. CDs, videos, different things out. Marian Apparitions explained a total fluke. I didn't even know they were taping me. A friend of mine from a Cursillo asked me in 1991, while they were over there, come on a retreat with him. I went, and he says, I'd like you to come and speak at my parish. I said, sure. Leo's in Elmwood Park, New Jersey. he didn't tell me he was going to videotape it. So, they sent me the VHS. I made copies. I sent it to all my children. I said, hey, Daddy finally made show business. And my son in Cleveland made audio cassettes for his friends. Bud Jr. He got so many requests, he bought a high-speed duplicator and he was giving them out to his friends. He got so many requests. He quit his job. He formed the Mary Foundation, the largest producer of Catholic CDs in the country. He made that the #1 CD in history. A total fluke with no script or nothing. You never know. You never know. We have other CDs here too. Vinnie Flynn's 7 Secrets of the Eucharist, which he has. It's car rides. We go on car rides now. You don't have the cassettes in there anymore, but you certainly have the CD players. And I listened to Janet Smith's driving down today for my first stop yesterday. Contraception, why not? You ever heard of Janet Smith? Mm-hmm. Most educated person in the whole world on female fertility. A consecrated virgin. A good friend now after I met her in 2001 at a conference. Oh my goodness, what a gift. What a gift that is. Explains everything. Psychologically, every aspect, hormonally. There's nothing like it anywhere exists on one CD. One CD. So you just never know who's going to have a big impact on you and or what might, yes.
My brother and I were down visiting our sister in North Carolina, and the church there gave every single person in, this was how many years ago? 10 years ago? I don't know. Her tape. Dr. Janice Smith.
Oh,
I couldn't believe it. It's fantastic.
And she's a little humorous too,
Uh-huh.
but brilliant and so well organized. So well organized. She's a professor at University of Dallas and at the seminary in Michigan. And now I met her when she was probably 50. She's probably in her late 60s now. She's still going nonstop. You know, the splendor of the truth. Veritate splendor. That's what the people need. The splendor of the truth. Right? That's okay. People who lived on the Eucharist. I mentioned Teresa Newman. So many other mystics. How can that be? That someone can stop all food, all liquids, all everything, and live solely on the Eucharistic host. Have you ever heard of little Audrey Santo up in Massachusetts? She was in a pool accident at age 3.5. Right? That's her picture when she was 3.5. And she went into a permanent paralyzed state. This happened in 1987. She died in 2007. For the last 20 years of her life, she was totally paralyzed, could only move her fingertips and her eyes. She got the stigmata, the wounds of Jesus. Her home, every statue, every religious picture were bleeding and weeping constantly. She causes up for saying that I'm on the foundation for that. I'm so blessed. And they had a vial, they built a chapel in where the living room used to be, where the priests come and say Mass. The first time the bishop came, during the consecration, the host started to bleed. Human blood. All verified scientifically. They've had 8 Eucharistic miracles there since all this started. All emphasizing the ultimate reality. Little Audrey, that little religious oil, there have been so many miracles. They send it out as it fills up in the chalice overnight every so often. The empty chalice next to the tabernacle. They have it all locked so nobody could get in. And they send it out to members of people in need. I've seen the miracles myself. I saw maybe 3 years ago, a woman says, oh, my daughter, she's really bad. She's 7 months plus pregnant, and she's got a huge cancerous tumor in her womb. And he can't operate, and I'm afraid the baby's going to die, and she's... So a group of us went down. We blessed her with the little holy oil. And she went and had the baby 2 weeks later. And then we blessed her womb with it, by the way. She went in then to Sloan Kettering for the surgery. No tumor. Gone. Gone. We just had a woman about a month ago in the parish that sits in the seat in front of me at daily Mass with her husband. And she had a huge kidney stone, and the pain was so... She was in the hospital 7 times over like a 10-time period, back in and out. They thought they could maybe just a way to get out. They couldn't. So they were going to do surgery on her. So outside of Mass, after Mass, we blessed her with it. We all prayed. Prayer. Little Audrey. That was on Friday. She comes in Tuesday back. She says, yesterday she passed a huge stone, which is impossible to pass. Passed this huge stone. She's fine. No surgery. You just hear these stories over and over. We all have these stories from our experience. Does anybody have any questions about any aspect of what we discussed? Yes.
Thanks, Bud. I guess it was 20 years ago. I was listening to one of Bud's tapes, on the Marian Apparitions. And the tape ended, now this is like 1991, I guess
Right,
that's
that's what it was, May 7, 1991.
Okay. It ended with these words: "The world is hanging by a thread." Now, what my question, Bud, is how in the world did we... First of all, I absolutely believed you.
That
How
wasn't
did
my
we-
quote.
Somebody
What
else?
the mystics are saying.
Okay. How did we make it? I mean, we're still here, and we're still... And what do we need to do to keep it going?
Well, again, what's happened in this period of time that's been going downhill fast, especially relative to sexual insanity, as we all know, and marriage and divorce rates. You see the divorce rates from 1960, maybe 20%, now they're 80%. We could go on and on. Prayer. The twin pillars. This is 1862 telling us what to do. We're doing it now, especially in America. Especially in America. You know how many apostolates there are in America involved in prayer and the holy sacrifice of the Mass? What is the message of Medjugorje, one of the primal messages there? Prayer and, what did Jesus say? Certain evil spirits can only be driven out through prayer and fasting. I heard about that in Medjugorje, and I went there 3 times in the late 80s. And I had heard about the fasting, how the visionaries were asked to fast 3 days a week for a period of like 3 or 4 years. And I said, you know, maybe I should start fasting. I weighed 185. And I started fasting on bread and water 3 days a week for 20 years. That's what I weighed at the end of 20 years. 185. And I lose a pound. And you want to know something?
You can eat a lot of bread. Bread is a lot of
I
calories.
eat a lot of bread.
Yeah, bread is a lot
I
of
lost my
calories.
whole appetite. I like food, a certain taste in that, but it just took food out of the picture, right?
Mr. Fasting just on water.
Or mortify your senses in whichever way. One time during Lent, I said, well, maybe I'm going to give up television for Lent. They had the NBA finals on and all this stuff. I'm big into sports. And it was a killer. It was worse than any kind of fasting. All right? We can mortify our senses in so many. Maybe it's jelly beans. I was a jelly bean addict. I don't eat jelly beans anymore. Right? It's just the hardest thing to do is to do something you don't want to do. That's easy to do, but you don't want to do it because you have to start. All right? Also, you can fast from in your married life from making crude, rough comments to one of your children or your spouse or whatever. You know, control your temper. Ask for the gift for that, and that's why the gift of that sacrament of confession and the graces from the sacrament is very important for the spiritual strength as well as prayer, as well as the holy sacrifice of the Mass. Number 1, yes, ma'am.
You mentioned Medjugorje.
Yeah, Medjugorje.
We'll get questions and answers in a minute. Let Bud finish.
Oh,
I'm going to be silent for the next minute. No, I'm on. We're, as we said at the very beginning, we are members of the mystical body of Jesus Christ. As I said before, the worst period ever, before or since, right up till now, in the history of the world, the height of World War II, that's what the Pope wrote. And we must mortify our senses and participate in the holy sacrifice of the Mass frequently, every single day if possible. That's Pope Pius XII in 1943 on the Feast of St. Peter and Paul, telling us how we can help change. And that's what America's been doing in varying degrees. As we asked the question before, how are we still hanging in there with all these things that are going on? Because we are doing, I'm sure there's other countries that are very devout, but we are doing a lot better now than we were, and continuing to improve in many ways. Okay? Any other questions as we go on there?
That's all the questions.
All right.
Okay. Is that it?
That's it. You don't
Now
have
we
to
get to the
hold
most
them. You can
important
actually keep
program.
them in your mind.
By the way, would somebody take that box of Defend Life newsletters? John, maybe you can find it. It's in one of these boxes, and make sure everybody gets a copy of it, and pass one to me, if you would. It's a newsletter. Okay, I'll take one right now. Thank you. And if I could slide by you, that would be great. Thank you so much. Now for the most important part of our program is the free will offering to keep this wonderful apostolate going. Anything you can give to Defend Life would be greatly appreciated. We'll circulate this. And if you'd like to write a check, you can make it payable to Defend Life. Anything you give is tax deductible. And we have some really important announcements. And then we'll get back to Bud for questions and answers. First of all, anybody watching on the internet, if you don't get our wonderful publication, Defend Life, this is the best magazine in the pro-life movement. Just go to our, send us an email, defendlife.org. You can go to our website, defendlife.org, or send an email to me, jack@defendlife.org, and say, I want to be on your mailing list, get future issues of this. We're old-fashioned. We actually believe in sending out hard copies of things because it's nice. You can't watch everything on your monitor or on your cell phone or whatever. So this is a great publication. jack@defendlife.org. Give us your name and address, and we'll actually begin sending it to you. Include your phone number if you'd be so kind as well. And let us know how you got in touch with us, what you saw, perhaps this wonderful program of Bud MacFarlane's senior, that's your son, speaking here at Our Lady Center in Ellicott City, Maryland, on this day in October. And before we forget to mention, this is the 50th anniversary of what? Humane Vitae. And who proclaimed Humane Vitae? And what happened last Saturday? Right. And that says a lot. I mean, this is the most prophetic document in our lifetime, but as Bud pointed out, largely ignored. And that's one of the reasons we're in the mess we're in. So take this, get copies of it, and be sure to once we'll have this wonderful video posted on our website at defendlife.org. Not only watch it again, watch it several times, and really absorb it, and then send it to your friends.
Which video?
This video, the video you're watching right now. This will be posted on our website.
I'm sorry, what the video are you talking about?
The video we're taking right now.
Like,
Yeah,
right
see,
now? That.
if you stand up, you'll be in the video.
The guys with bald spots in your back, don't
Yeah,
show your face.
okay.
I didn't know that was being
This will be
recorded.
posted for posterity. But take advantage of that. And there's all sorts of other great videos there. All of our speakers, thanks to people like Jim Alpha, we videotape and post. So it's not just this one crack that you get at it. And you can not only watch it again yourself, you can send it to people. Because these are the best speakers in the entire pro-life movement. And you don't get this from our local publications, do you? And sadly, you don't get it from the altar in most cases. So, anyway, let's just go over a few important things that are here. Everybody get a copy of this? John, did everybody get it? Yeah. Good. So look at this debacle that's going on right here in our archdiocese in St. Matthew's. This wonderful parish in northeast Baltimore, at least it used to be wonderful. The money from Thomas O'Neill's estate, part of that went to build this parish, St. Matthew's, and it was a great parish. But right now, we have this renegade priest, pastor, who is just doing his own thing and ignoring what Archbishop Glorious told him. So he is a very active, it could not be more active, gay-lesbian ministry, and it's defying church teaching. Now, what can you do? Well, one of the things you can do about it is send a note to Archbishop Glory and tell him he has to do something. He's going with the flow. You know, we're either part of the problem or part of the solution. A great priest told me, sure we have a priest shortage, but it's better that a parish have no priest than a bad priest. Because a bad priest is taking good souls to hell. And that's what's happening here. And, you know, a little bit of this goes a long way. People see this? They say, well, I guess it must be okay, because the Archbishop's not doing anything. Well, he has to, or is he putting his own immortal soul in jeopardy? Send Archbishop Laurie a note telling him that. He has to. And if you get a chance to see him in person at some reception or in the receiving line, tell him that too. He has to hear it. You send him a note, mark it personal, confidential, eyes only. So he's forced to read it. So that's the first thing. Now if you go to page 2, everybody go over to page 2, please. And you see the terrible things that are happening in our county libraries here in Maryland. How young people are being brainwashed into the gay lesbian lifestyle, okay? That's on page 2. And that's being done with whose money? Our money. And these county libraries seem not to report to anybody. Ask your delegate, your state senator, where are they getting the money? Where do you think that money is ultimately coming from? Us, right? It's an abomination. And if we don't do something about it, it's our own fault. Now if you go over to page 14, you can see Defend Life is an all-volunteer organization. We depend on people like you to help us. Because it's better that we don't take the money we have and spend it for offices and salaries and so forth. We're all volunteer. I never got paid, and I never intend to be paid. But we need people to continue to volunteer. So here's 17 ways you can volunteer to help Defend Life. They're all here on page 14. Most of them are from home. Some of them are from out on the road. Please, please, please volunteer. Great things happen when we have volunteers like John Roswell, who's doing great work at Planned Parenthood down in downtown Baltimore, Maryland's largest death camp. And John, I want you to get up in a second and give us a report on what's happening down there, the good things that are happening, because people are getting out of their comfort zone and actually going out and fighting this culture of death that's so pervasive. Now, on the last page, you have this wonderful ad about Gosnell, the movie. How many people have seen the Gosnell movie? How many people do not know about the Gosnell movie? Okay, so you've got to watch it. Now, do you have internet access? Okay, go to gosnellmovie.com and you get to see the trailer of this wonderful movie. The trailer's like a preview. It's powerful. This is the most powerful movie made in the history of the pro-life movement. You've got to not only watch the trailer, but send that trailer to every friend you have. Tell them to watch it. And then you yourself, tell your friends to do this. Why we still have this in the local theaters right now, we have it, is go see it. And then go see it again, because it's so overwhelming. It's powerful. And it's based on the true story of what happened in Philadelphia. Kermit Gosnell was a late trimester abortionist. He was also a drug pusher. Why they finally raided, the reason they finally raided his abortion mill, they didn't know for sure it was an abortion mill, but they figured out he was a drug pusher. But when they got inside, they found the remains of all these babies. So it's incredible, this wonderful movie. And we thank two wonderful persons from Ireland because of them. And, what's her last name? McElhenney. She was our speaker a month ago. You can watch her video at defendlife.org. And her wonderful husband, Phelim McAleer, that this movie and the book is even better than the movie. But go see the movie, because it's easier to watch a movie than to read a book. And hold that a question for a moment and bring that up in the question and answer period if you would. But it's powerful, and we need to keep this movie going, because it's being blacked out, not surprised, by the media. It's a miracle that this movie even made it, as far as it's made it. But this is the movie that can shut down Planned Parenthood, can cut off their funding, but only if people see it. Now, here's another thing you can do, simple thing. Go buy 5 extra tickets and go to a place like AMC Owings Mills, that's the closest place where we have it, and just stand inside the lobby, or as people outside the lobby, and say, hey, here's a free ticket, go in and see this movie. Now, obviously, make sure that there's a performance coming up very soon after you're standing there. If it's an 8 p.m. performance, be there about 7:30 handing out these free tickets. Because believe it or not, a lot of people go to these theater complexes, theater stadiums as we call them now. They don't know what movie they're going to see. But they just sort of say, oh, this sounds interesting, I'll go see this. But people like things that are free, right? So give them a free ticket. So that's another thing you can do to keep this wonderful movie going. Now, a couple of other things that are very important. Our next speaker is State Senator Patricia Rucker from West Virginia. She'll be speaking next month. So those of you who are watching on the internet, you can watch this talk that she'll be giving about a month from now. This heroic woman who was born in Venezuela, moved here when she was 6 years old, to what she calls the Socialist Republic of Montgomery County, Maryland. And then couldn't wait to get out of Montgomery County to raise her children, her 5 children whom she homeschools. But in her spare time, in addition to homeschooling, she's a state senator. It's a miraculous story. But what it proves is that with God, all things are what? Possible. Right. She proves it. It's a great story. So be here a month from now to watch and listen to State Senator Patricia Rucker. Just a clue. When she ran for the state senate, she would, in addition to homeschooling, at 2 o'clock homeschooling was done, she would take one of her homeschool children, and they would go to the largest city in her senatorial district, and they would knock on doors. She would take an adult with her too. And in 3 years, she knocked on 14,000 doors. And she was elected, knocked off an incumbent that was very powerful by 3,000 votes. But the really great story is what she's doing in the state capital of West Virginia. Can anybody tell me what the name of that state capital is?
Wheeling.
No. Nobody? Charleston. See, everybody knows Charleston, South Carolina, but there's a Charleston, West Virginia. That's the state capital of West Virginia. She's doing marvelous things, but you'll have to find out more, come next month, or if you're watching on the internet, tune in about a month from now and you'll be able to see it. And then the last several things I wanted to mention is pray for my wonderful cousin Roseanne Gardone, who died recently. Pray for her mortal soul. She's my Connecticut cousin, mother of 5, a godly woman. Pray for her mortal soul. And the very last thing is our March for Life kickoff lecture. Everybody knows the March for Life is coming up in January. And this year it'll be not on January 22nd, it'll be January the 18th. A week before that, Friday, January the 11th, we'll have our March for Life kickoff lecture featuring Michael Boris of the Church Militant. He'll have some really great things to say. That'll be at the Knights of Columbus, the Rock Creek Knights of Columbus in Bethesda, Maryland, and you're all welcome to come and hear him. It'll be at 7:30 in the evening, and it will be powerful. Now, zoom in, if you would, Jim, on my T-shirt. What's happening at most college campuses in America tomorrow? Saturday. It's fall. What's happening?
Football game?
Football game. Yeah. America loves college football, right? But what happens before and after college football games? What do they call that?
Tailgating.
Okay. How would you like to tailgate for life? Have some fun and do something good for the Lord in the pro-life movement. You can do it. Now, this particular T-shirt I'm wearing says Blue Hens for Life. The blue hen is the mascot of the University of Delaware. And inside the O is a baby blue hen. So it's neat. What's true of babies? Do babies love life? Of course they love life. Babies are for life. You don't find babies for abortion, do you? So this is a great way to evangelize and draw more people into the pro-life movement. You just have a T-shirt like this, and it could be Terps for Life. You could have a baby Terp. For those of you out there watching on the internet, the University of Maryland's mascot is the terrapin. Terp for short. So you could have a baby Terp there. Or if you're doing this at the Naval Academy, what's the mascot of the Naval Academy? Goat. You have a baby goat in there. And of course you always use the school's colors and the school's fonts. And oh, by the way, take a look at the back. See, here's what it says on the back. Now that's really the powerful message. Now, the nice thing about this too is what St. Francis of Assisi said. He said, when you evangelize, only use words if necessary. You don't have to say a thing. You're just out there enjoying, smiling, enjoying the ambiance, just walking around and making friends. And then, oh, you like my T-shirt? I get you one free. Will you promise to wear it to all future events? And blah blah blah. It's a great way to evangelize. And I think that's it. You had something to say.
Those of you who are not particularly comfortable with fetuses and such, I've seen this movie and you have nothing to worry about. There's one scene where there's a picture that some of us might find objectionable. It's shown to the jury, it's not shown to us. So you have absolutely nothing to fear with pictures that may
There
not
are no
make you
images of aborted babies. But using your imagination, people can put two plus two together. So it's a very good point. Thank you.
Especially if you see the expression on the jurors.
This film is a masterpiece.
It is really
Superbly
amazing.
written and superbly produced and superb acting. And it's rated PG-13, so you can take your teenage children to see it as well. Yes.
I took my 14-year-old, and I also had my parents go and see it. They got the last 2 seats in their theater in Cleveland.
Oh.
So it's, the whole range of age it's appropriate for.
It's great. This is a game changer. This can change America and bring countless people into the pro-life movement and be the death knell of Planned Parenthood in the abortion industry. But we've got to take advantage of it while we still have it. So spread the word. Go to that trailer, even if you've seen it, Gosnellmovie.com. Send it to your friends. Get out to see it again. Buy free tickets. And there's probably countless other ways you can promote it.
And talking about converting people, I got an email from a friend who said that all of the jurors were pro-abortion. At the end of their trial, they were all pro-life.
Wow.
So
Amazing.
Yeah.
it works.
Yeah, the horror.
Absolutely, Meg. And even Anne, what's her name? McAteer. McElhenney, excuse me, who was our speaker last month. This wonderful Irish-born lady from County Donegal. In college, she said she was abortion neutral, which was a code word for being pro-abortion. And they even, the college students there, and this had to be every bit of probably 30 years ago, they thought our images of aborted babies were made up. They were photoshopped. They were brainwashed. But even somebody like herself who was not pro-life, nor was her husband, once they saw the reality of what was going on, what abortion really was, they couldn't be more pro-life. They are working day and night, have been working day and night to keep this, get this movie where it is, but to keep it going.
Hit the top 10.
Yeah. It's already in the top 10. We need to keep it there. Yes.
Is that video from last month on your webpage?
Yes.
So we could see
It
that
is.
her talking
It is.
there.
Yeah.
That's good.
Jim Eltoff is the one who videotaped it and posted it, so it's there.
That's
Very
great.
good question.
Very
So, who has the first question for Bud MacFarlane Sr.?
Can you say senile?
No. Can we go back to Medjugorje? Because
Sure.
the church has been kind of funny about it, but I went there and I loved it. It was so holy. What did you think?
Well, I mortgaged my house and sent all my kids and their spouses there. Took a home equity mortgage. I've been there 3 times, back in the 1980s when it first started. There's been no disgraces in terms of the visionaries or their actions. The church does not in any way prohibit anybody from going there. The church will never approve an apparition while it's happening. And usually it takes many years afterwards for them to do all the research that they did while it was happening and after it happened. Like we mentioned last presentation, Fatima wasn't approved till 1930, till 1970. It just takes a while. So the main thing is not, the messages are pretty simple.
They were negative about it because
Oh,
I
yeah, a lot
know
of
here at Our
negative.
Lady Center, they were promoting it, and they got the feeling that they better get rid of everything about Medjugorje because of the comments that were coming out from the Pope
Yeah.
at that time.
Well, one Pope said if I were, I was the Pope and I was able to go, I would go there. Pope St. John Paul.
Right.
That's one of his quotes.
That was very
I want to
upsetting.
mention something you mentioned about I saw in the last church we were at, a woman ready for the funeral, if you recall. Remember, with the casket open.
Yes.
And something we don't hear about is a plenary indulgence. Anybody heard that term?
Yeah.
A plenary indulgence is a totally complete remission of all the temporal punishment due to sin. Meaning, if somebody has died and they were going to go to purgatory for a while, that you can make a plenary indulgence and apply with God's divine will, obviously, to that particular person by name. Okay? And it's not very difficult to get a plenary indulgence. First of all,
For yourself.
huh?
You can get it for yourself.
Oh yeah, for yourself one every day, but if you're going to Mass every day and you're fulfilling, the obligations are really simple. Number one, you have to have been to confession. It used to be 8 days, now it's 20 days before or after, okay? You must be living in the state of sanctifying grace. You have to have gone to the holy sacrifice of the Mass during the day, which, when you're going to be applying this plenary indulgence or asking for it to be applied to heaven. And you have, there are certain things that qualify. Number one is a rosary in front of Jesus in the tabernacle. And most parishes have the rosary, as you mentioned earlier, before Mass. So that would qualify if you went to Mass that day. Or it could be a family rosary. Right? Or it could be making your Stations of the Cross. All of these things, any one of them can qualify if it's done on the same day as the day that you went to the Holy Sacrifice and Mass and ask for this gift of replenishment of the temporal punishment. All right? So if you're going to Mass every single day, you can actually apply a plenary indulgence every day, either at that day or in a specific way in advance. I'll say to my spiritual director, who's been in heaven for 5 years, for him to, if it's allowed, for him to make a choice of some priest or some friend that he knows that would recently passed away, apply to them. It's very powerful. Have you heard of St. Gertrude's prayer?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Now I said to myself, how can that be? We got to do all this to get a plenary indulgence, and the St. Gertrude's prayer gets how many?
1,000.
1,000 every time you say it. How long does it take to say it?
That's not
It's a
only,
couple minutes.
if you say it during the consecration of the Mass, the limit is removed, it's countless.
I'm saying it, right? Yeah.
And
So
say
how
that
can-
for the audience. Say the St. Gertrude's prayer.
Right? Eternal Father, bless you, Saint Jesus, during all the Mass throughout the world today. Right? And you forgive our sins everywhere, sin in the world,
Church, those my home,
and in
and
our
my family.
family. Amen. It's a simple little prayer, right? I said, how could that be? Then it dawned on me.
And what comment did he make? Because I've always heard of it just being said whenever you would want to say it.
Yeah, that's what he said. He said.
For the limit of 1,000, but if you say it during the consecration, that limit is removed.
Right.
Oh,
Okay, I hadn't heard
Who
that.
has
determined that? Who has determined that?
yeah.
Well, it has been proposed to the church. St. Gertrude didn't live yesterday. It's a long time ago, and he's been around forever. But here's the reason I came up with why it could be that many for that versus one for plenary indulgence. How many people in the world since it began are in purgatory? Billions. So maybe there's somebody like at the last step, getting ready to get out now after 276 years or 2,444 years or whatever it is, right? And now you say that prayer and that amount comes out. So it's not like you're releasing this huge number percentage-wise of souls from purgatory. So it's very, very powerful prayer. I also want to mention, any of you here, Knights of Columbus? This is the greatest issue I've ever seen of the Columbia magazine.
And it just came out.
Yeah, I mentioned that my first presentation was to the Knights of Columbus, and that's how I got started. And then when I read about the Knights of Columbus, to prepare myself for the presentation, within 30 days I made all the 4 degrees, and I just love the Knights of Columbus, right? And many of our, where we used to live, our family social friends were from our Knights of Columbus Council. It's just a wonderful organization. But this is the July issue. It's all about the family. 22 articles about the family. Life is a gift. NFP, truly a godsend. I could go on with the list. A husband and a healer. Yes of chastity. Good news about the hard teachings. Living the faith and learning the faith. On and on. Dangers of hormonal birth control. National Family Planning versus Contraception. That's by Janet Smith. 22 articles in one magazine. Our Knights of Columbus, we've ordered 300. Our Respect Life has ordered 300. Friends of mine in their parish have ordered 300 to give out in other parishes. And you could call the Knights of Columbus and order them by the hundreds for the July issue and use it as a good instrument of evangelizing the family. What's the mission here? The family. Right? Phenomenal gift. All right?
I have a question.
Yeah.
I don't think you mentioned this. Tell us about the conversion of this Jew, Schoenman.
Roy Schoenman. Anybody heard of him? It's weird. Well, that stuff's all in the boxes there.
Yeah, there's some CDs.
Maybe some of the papers over there.
Tell us about Roy.
Like that. It's in the other one there, underneath that one. But anyhow, a Jewish atheist. He's around 50 years old now, early 50s. About 15 or 16, 17 years ago, he had an extraordinary experience with God when he was walking on the beach. And he got a divine intervention that changed his life forever. Hating every religion, not just Jews, he became one of the top Catholic evangelists in the country today already. I had never heard of the guy until I got this CD from the Mary Foundation, The Conversion of Roy Schoenman. He wrote a book, was it Jews? It's a big bestseller. I can't think of it off the top of my head. About his conversion story, right? Oh, Salvation is from the Jews. That's the name of it. Big bestseller. But these are just unbelievable story. The supernatural aspect again of our faith. And being atheistic Jew, he's really atheistic, hate the Catholic Church, obviously. Why are Protestants called Protestants? They protest the truth. There's a lot of good people there, they just don't know. They haven't been given the truth. And what's the biggest truth they haven't been given? The miracle of the Eucharist. The priest altered Christus. Okay?
So, for the benefit of the tape, how do you spell Schoenman?
Schoeman.
And how can people
It's
get
in
the
the box
CD?
right there.
Yeah, but how can people, for the tape, how can people
Mary
get it?
Foundation.
Okay.
Mary Foundation, the booklets, everything here. We didn't.
Yeah, how is it going? How's the Mary Foundation going?
Still making it. Still selling.
That's kind of a miracle in itself.
Well, they
isn't
give
it?
them away and work on contributions for normal, unless they're ordering multiple quantities. I ask them to give a generous amount, but whatever they pay.
Who has the next question?
I do. So this Roy Schoenman wrote a book called Salvation is from the Jews?
Yeah.
And that's his conversion story?
Yes. It's a great book. And that, by the way, that CD is awesome. By the way, I can't wait for the CD on that, the DVD on that movie to come out.
Well, it's
Yeah.
made. Do we know that it'll be made?
Oh, it'll be made.
No, that depends on us. If it gets to Netflix, depends on us. That's why we have.
We don't need Netflix. All we have is somebody make a CD, maybe the Mary Foundation or anybody else, pro-life movement.
But if it gets to Netflix, millions of people will see it. It'll never go to a movie theater. Next question.
I'd like to know more about natural technology, where we can get resources for it. I have a couple of young women that are interested in this, and what resources we have in Maryland.
You have them. They're everywhere.
I Googled it. You can't find it that easy.
Nothing for NAPRO technology?
It's very vague. There's a website, there's a general website
And
that
it should have
talks
a
about
number.
natural technology, but I'm more interested in about centers where
They
young
have
women can go to.
Go to
This is what you were talking about. That's how I came.
Well, again, it's called NAPRO Technology, and the headquarters in Omaha, Nebraska, Paul VI Institute, they will tell you if you can't get on the internet. When I've been asked this before, and I look on the particular, I'll find one in Pennsylvania, I'll find 3 here, 1 in Philly area, 2 in Pittsburgh or wherever. In New Jersey we have them, New York we have them, so I don't know every state and what have the technicians that are certified like my daughter is, but they're everywhere. This is a huge movement.
Here's an example.
It's
Therese, listen to me.
It's not everywhere.
Listen to me.
Checked
Listen to me,
today.
okay?
I'm listening.
I'm answering your question. Therese Rodriguez who's a homeschooling mother of 6, all daughters, by the way, is from Gaithersburg. She was the director of our Face the Truth tour. She's also a nephro-technology expert, okay?
Oh,
So she got up and spoke.
yeah, she was at our
I think
presentation
her
last night.
website is GaithersburgFertilityCare.org. But just do it. Therese Rodriguez,
Yeah,
nephro-technology. I'm sure you can find her on the internet, okay?
yeah, she was
She
terrific.
goes
too.
around and she teaches it.
I was so awed when she was in the back row, and when I mentioned she's smiling
She's a
and waving
nurse.
her hand, I'm
I knew her
involved
from
as
her
a certified
days at
psychic
Cal
investment.
University.
There's also Dr. Marian Soros
Oh, yes.
has a practice here at right at St. Agnes Hospital. And it's a pro-life OBGYN practice.
Oh, wow.
Dr.
That's
Marian
right here.
Sora.
That'll be the same thing, I'm
Where,
sure.
who is it?
Dr. Marian Sora, Sorra, and the practice is at St. Agnes Hospital. I don't remember the.
She has a brother who's a priest.
Right.
Fantastic.
Next question.
Yes, sir.
Well, the question is for him. He
How
said
is
we
that?
could evangelize by putting on the T-shirts. I want to ask where we can get it.
Jack, John would like to know where you can get the T-shirt.
Oh, sure. Just go to our website. We have one that says pro-life with a baby inside the O. That's the one you want to wear. If you want to do Terps for Life or whatever, see me afterwards. But go to our website. Jim has it on right now. And if you simply send an email to t-shirts@defendlife.org, give us your size. You're probably an extra large. Give us your mailing address and your phone number. We'll send you one. The only thing we ask is that you wear it at least once a week in public, okay? Easy to do.
All right, make sure now that everybody, we didn't lay these out on the tables or anything, but we have all those articles there, The Slaughter of the Innocents by abortifacient contraceptives. We have the one on Priesthood Sunday. The last Sunday in October, since October 11th, since the year 2011, Pope Benedict made that World Priesthood Sunday, and he made it the Year for Priest, if you recall, 2011. World Priesthood Sunday. So the last Sunday in October, every year now, we celebrate our priests, we pray for our priests, we love our priests in a special way. The priests can't promote themselves, so it's up to us from our heart to ask the Holy Spirit how the best to encourage them and guide them and help them in whatever way. All right? But there's an article in there about it that I wrote the first year when it came out because it got no publicity. Nobody knows about it. All right, so it's in here. And the other one is the one I mentioned about my wife, to the mother of all mothers. Make sure you get that article as well about my wife and how she's the reason, as all of our spouses are both ways, for the happy, holy marriages and the joys and blessings of children. I got to tell you, my wife was never more joyful than when she learned that she was expecting another baby. Never. I don't know where she got all the energy. I mean, it's not like she was a track star in high school or anything. She just, ultimate strength. It's like, and physical.
The very last thing before we close in prayer, John Roswell would like to say a few words about what's happening at Planned Parenthood Death Camp in downtown Baltimore. John?
Thank you. I'm the Sidewalk Advocates for Life's leader down there, and we're right now going down there Monday, Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, and the Saturdays that they're open in the mornings. But we're stretched really, really thin, and I desperately need more people to help. And the last 2 times that I've actually spoken in this room, on both those days, we saved a life. I was there this morning. We didn't save a life, but I can tell you a very interesting story. I saw a woman reading her signs looking very interested. And she came up to me and she said, when I was 15, my parents had me have an abortion. When I was 30, 4 years ago, I was going to have another, and a woman standing on the sidewalk had a rosary in her hand, and her eyes looked like the eyes of an angel. Wow. And I thought I heard God speaking to me, and it changed my mind. Wow. If you are willing to go out there, you can save lives, and you will save lives you don't even need to know that you're saving. Christ wanted us to be a light to the world. We need to shine our light on the evil as well as show our good. And we cannot be sedentary Christians. So I'm asking everybody, if you have a time that you can spare, please come down there and help. And I will hand these out to anyone that has. My contact information is, my name is John Roswell, and on the back of this card, it has my name and contact information.
And John, for those who might be watching on the internet, how can they contact you?
They can reach me on the internet through safl.baltimore@gmail.
So safl.baltimore@gmail.com. Very good. Thank you, John.
Can I ask you a question? I heard about a year ago that a house had been bought right next to
They
that.
started construction on that building this week,
Oh, okay.
finally.
And that'll be a pregnancy center.
Right, a crisis pregnancy.
So if we can't shut down Planned Parenthood, shame on us. But we need more volunteers. So see John afterwards.
If we had
If you
enough
can just
people,
give a few hours a week.
hopefully when that opens, we can direct the women right to the pregnancy center right next door, which would be a great
I was
aid.
wondering what was happening with that.
Yeah,
It's a good
It's
question.
moving forward.
It's a good question. Let's close in prayer. Let's say the Apostles' Creed. In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. I believe in God, the Father Almighty, creator of heaven and earth, and Jesus Christ, his only Son, our Lord, was conceived by the Holy Spirit, born of the Virgin Mary, suffered under Pontius Pilate, was crucified, died, and was buried. He descended into hell, rose again from the dead, descended into heaven, seated at the right hand of God the Father Almighty. From thence he shall come to judge the living and the dead. I believe in the Holy Spirit, the Holy Catholic Church, the communion of saints, forgiveness of sins, and the resurrection of the body and life everlasting. Amen. In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Thank you all for coming, and be sure to watch this on the internet.